Good morning, everyone, and happy belated Canada Day to all of my Canadian friends, and a happy upcoming 4th of July to all of my American friends. My husband and I, well, we're from Canada, as maybe you can tell, but we live in the U.S. right now. We live in the Boston area, so both countries are near and dear to our heart, so we celebrate both holidays, and so that's kind of cool. And since we're still kind of shut down here, I decided to do a project this week. Sometimes I slow down this week as we were doing other things, but since we're more at home now, I get to create more, so that's kind of a good thing. Today's card, I just love it. It's not a hard card, but it's kind of a congratulations card. Let me show you. I made this card with the happy dies and the stamp set. It's a part of a bundle. It's called the So Much Happy Bundle. And I just love this because it's not hard, but the paper, the Artistry Blooms background paper, just looks so pretty and makes everything pop. Now, there are a few little tricks with this card. It's not a hard card, but I think you'll appreciate the tips if you want to make a card that's similar to this. One of the samples in the catalog had the happy on an angle, and ever since I saw that, I wanted to do a card that had that happy across. If you do a normal card, normally with things on an angle, you have to do a lot of measuring and prepping. This card would be very hard to do if you didn't have this die, because let me just pull this die off here. So this die, it's really cool because it does not cut away the top and the bottom. So you can take whatever size piece you want and cut the happy in the center or wherever you want on that piece. And the happy is the connector between the upper and the lower portion. So you can make it as long as you want. So that's kind of a cool thing about this particular die. So I am going to show you how to make this card, and I hope that it will help you if you want to make a card that is similar than that. And welcome to everyone who's here this morning. I hope you're having a sunshiny day like me. Okay, let me flip my camera. All right, so here is the bundle. I just want to talk a bit about this bundle. The stamp set and the dies work really nicely together because we only have the word happy over here on the dies. It's nice to have a coordinating word or two, or three or four or five or six, to coordinate with the happy, like happy birthday, happy to have you in my life, happy graduation. So it's a really nice complementary design. We've also got some balloons that can be cut out. We've got a star that can be cut out, or in my case, I just cut out the star and I didn't stamp it. So both of these work very nicely together. And they're available separately or in a bundle. And when you purchase it as a bundle, you save 10%. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this card. So I cut myself a piece of this beautiful Artistry Blooms paper, and this has some really nice patterns that can fade. So we've got, this is the blue purple pattern, but there's some other colors in this paper as well. If you look online, if you click down below and go to my blog, there's a supply list at the bottom, and you'll find the Artistry Blooms paper. If you click on over to that, actually, you know what? I've got a little sheet here. I can show you some of the patterns, but if you click over, you can see all the patterns. But look at all the beautiful patterns of this paper. So this is just little 2-inch squares of the paper. The paper is actually 12 by 12. But you can see lots of bright, beautiful colors that work really nicely with this bundle. Okay, let me grab the die, the happy die, and I'm going to show you how I die cut this. So right now we don't have a die cutting machine. We will have a new one available for customers in just 2 months. And I'm going to have our machine next month as a pre-order. So I'll be able to start showing that. So what I did was I took a little ruler and I made myself just a couple little pencil marks, because if I want to make a bunch of these and I want them to be the same angle, then you could make yourself marks. If not, you can kind of just angle the happy die close to the bottom. But if you want to be precise and do it exactly like I had mine, measure up 1/4 inch on the bottom on the left side, and then measure up 1 3/4 inches on the right side. Both times put yourself a little pencil mark, 1/4 inch and 1 3/4 inch. And then I'll know where to place this die. I'm going to just angle it. You have to be a little bit careful on how you angle this, because you want to make sure that it doesn't come off the edge. So when it's rolling through, okay, and I should have told you just real quick, this layer here, this paper, I cut it to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. That's my starting layer, okay? And so I've got that angled. That looks good. And I want it a little closer to the left side than the right side. And yeah, I think that looks good. So we're just going to put the top plate on and run this through. All right, so now you'll see what I mean when I lift this off. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So I've got the happy, and it stays and it connects the top and the lower piece. Now, one more thing I want to do before I put this die cut machine away, I just wanted to show you. Oops, just let me get my, I have a old hotel key, and I use this when I have little pieces that get stuck to my board. I just use it to kind of scrape so that they stop sticking to my plate, and then I just move them into the garbage. So it's easier than me picking them off. I just scrape them off really easily. Okay, so one more thing we're going to do before I put the happy away. I want to grab a little piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm just going to run this piece through one time with a scrap piece of Night of Navy, because what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take those letters and I'm going to cut them out. Move that away. Okay, so what you can do if you want to is you can just take a trimmer and cut along the top here and release the letters, but you can also just use a scissor and come along and cut away the dies. You can do a little bit of rounding in a second. Look, so you just round up on the P to make it not look so square, and then here on the H, just cut away those little pieces that didn't look so nice. And then down here at the bottom, I'm just going to cut straight. Again, you can do this on your trimmer. We'll go a little faster if you did it on your trimmer. And then again on the bottom, if you have any pieces that need to be trimmed off, you just come along, oops, and trim them. If I'd gone just a little bit above, then I wouldn't have all those little pieces hanging on. Okay, so I've got all my little letters, and now what I'm going to come back and do is, when I've done this piece, the happy is pretty, but it's not very bright. It doesn't pop a lot. So when I'm adhering it to my white piece right here, doesn't pop quite as much as this one does. If you like this look, you can definitely just leave it at that. But what I did was I took all of these letters and I'm going to now glue them on top of here. It gives it also a little bit of texture. So let me just get my glue flowing. I'm gonna just put the Tombow right on top of all of these letters right away to make it easier, so I don't have to put glue on the individual letters each time. Just do it quickly like that. And then I'm going to take each of these letters and adhere them on here. And see how that's starting to pop a little bit. I chose Night of Navy because my background paper is going to be Misty Moonlight. And Misty Moonlight is a little bit lighter than Night of Navy, and I didn't want it to blend, and I wanted it to pop more. So I just decided to do it this way. All right. So one more thing I want to do, if you are doing a birthday card, you can do happy birthday. I'm doing congratulations cards, so I'm going to stamp happy's already there, and then I'm going to add to celebrate you. And I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight ink pad and just ink this up really lightly. And I want to make sure that I'm coming a little bit closer to the right side. Or you could choose the left, but I like it a little bit towards the right side because that way it kind of flows nicely. Happy to celebrate you. And I just used this line as my guide for keeping it level. Okay. And then I'm going to adhere this piece to the same size Whisper White piece. So both of these are 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And if you don't have those measurements, didn't have a chance to write them down, they're also over on my blog. Just look for the quick reference section and I have those measurements written out for you. So then I'm just going to take this piece and just really try and line it up nicely. Like that. I'm excited about our new die cut machine that's coming up. If you get the starter kit, or if you're already a demonstrator, you can pre-order it starting in August. So that's really cool. And right now we can already order, demonstrators can order from the holiday catalog. And if you're interested in already ordering from the holiday catalog, you can also put holiday catalog items in your starter kit. But if you're a customer, you have to wait till August 4th. But that's just a little tip if you want to get a jump start on your holiday creation. Okay, so then I'm going to take a card base. Oh, actually one more thing. Before I do anything, I need to add this piece of ribbon across here. So here's another trick for you. I'm going to take my tear and tape and I'm going to put a line right across here, and I'm going to have about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch go off the edge. I'm going to line this up with this angle right here, and I'm going to cut it off right here. Okay, so you want a little bit of an overhang on either side. Maybe it can be a little shorter. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap this tear and tape to the back on both sides. So you'll see it kind of wraps up and around on an angle. So what I can do now, once I remove this liner, I can add a piece of ribbon to here, and it's not going to gape funny because I'm not wrapping it around in its entirety. I'm stopping it, and it's going to come and wrap to the back. So I've already cut myself a little piece of the Misty Moonlight ribbon, and I'm going to remove the liner for this. In fact, if I want to, I'll just remove a little bit of it at a time. And this ribbon is the same width as the tear and tape. So I'm just going to lay this on here. Maybe get rid of this all the way to the end. And then just lay it on the ribbon. Don't pull it super tight, but just get it so it's laying down and the ribbon is covering the adhesive. And then you can remove the backing entirely, and then just come and lay that down on the back. And I'm just going to trim off this little bit on the end. So now I have this ribbon, and I want to add this little tied piece. So I'm going to take a little extra piece of Misty Moonlight and just tie it into a knot. And then take my scissors and then decide how I want this cut. See how that looks. All right, and blow away all these little tiddly bits I've got out here. I'm going to take a glue dot and stick it right here on the knot. And then I'm going to add that right here to my ribbon. So it kind of looks like I tied this around here and knotted it right there, but I didn't. I wrapped this just a piece to the back, because if you wrap it all the way around, you're going to have a bit of gaping here on the side where the angle, it won't be nicely across here. So I like doing this better if I'm doing it on an angle. Of course, if I had just had a straightaway, I could have just tied it around. But for this one, I wanted to do it like this to keep everything nice and flat. Okay, so now I can adhere it to my card base. And this is a piece of Misty Moonlight. I started off with 11 inches by 4 1/4, and I scored it in half at the 5 1/2 inch mark. I'll take my Tombow and just add a little to the back. And you might wonder why I use such a big piece of Whisper White on the back. It's because I wanted everything to be level. If I had made this a little shorter, then this paper might have bent a little bit up at the top, and I didn't want that to happen. So I just backed it up completely with the Whisper White. And then I'm just going to make sure it's straight and then glue that down. All right, so now I just want to do a few little embellishments on the front here. So I cut some stars. The big star is fairly big and fairly easy to put on to the project. So I'll just kind of find a spot for it over here on the right. Now these other stars, you can barely see them. They're cut very, very small. But they're cute, especially if you cut them in silver foil like I did. So what I'm going to do, I'll take your pick tool, and I'm going to start just by putting a few little dots of Tombow. And then I'm going to pick up my stars. They're very tiny with the take your pick tool, and just place them down into the right spot. Here's my next one. I want that one to go there. Okay. And then this one right here, so tiny. Okay, I probably put a little bit too much glue on that spot. I'm going to remove some of the glue. Come on. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a moment before I touch it again because it's got a lot of adhesive on there. So I'm just going to let it dry for a moment. The other thing you could do with these little tiny stars, you can take a piece of silver foil sheet and use our adhesive sheets. You put the adhesive sheet on the back of the silver foil, then run it through with the die. And then when these little stars come out, they already have adhesive on the back. So then you can remove the adhesive and then just use your take your pick tool to put them into position. So you don't have to do the hard method with the Tombow like I did. The bigger of the two small stars are okay, but the tiniest one is a little bit more difficult to maneuver. So you can see how beautiful these cards are. And look, both of these papers, it's the same paper I use, but it's got a fade. So this one has a little bit more purple on the top, and this one has a little bit more blue on the top. But isn't it pretty? And these cards really took no time at all to make. So that's what I really love about it. It's a nice, fun, wow card that doesn't take me a long time to make. And that's always a good thing, right? So I will try and have, I want to work with this die today, and I didn't have time yesterday, but I'm going to try and make a 3D projects with this die to share with you tomorrow. So I will try and have that ready for you tomorrow in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me just look and see if there are any comments that I need to talk about. And thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Oh, someone here from Japan. That's cool. I love that. Someone said that this would make a good masculine card too. Yeah, that's right. Like it's when we don't have overly feminine images on the card, it could be, especially this one here with these colors. It's definitely, it's kind of got a solar feel to it, right? And so it could be definitely a masculine card. It can go either way with this. Aw, I am so glad, Susan, that you're going to case my card. That makes me happy. Yay. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. This bundle is awesome. I love having the happy all on one die. And so let me see what I can come up with a 3D project to share with you tomorrow. And hopefully it will be something cool that will inspire you. If you need any of the supplies I talked about today, make sure you click on over to my blog down at the bottom. This is a really great month to order. I didn't even mention this earlier. We are having bonus days this month. So if you spend, for every $50 you spend with Stampin' Up this month, you get, we're in July 2020, in case you're watching this at a different time, but in July 2020, if you spend $50, for every $50 you spend, you get a coupon, a $5 coupon that you can use in August off of a Stampin' Up order. So if you spend $100 in one go, then you get two $5 coupons. So it will be $10 off your order in August. So that's really cool. So I hope you will take advantage of that. And I hope you guys have a great day and are getting ready to celebrate in whatever way you can for the 4th of July weekend. And I hope you guys have a great time. All right. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.